I am waking up next to a waterhole while wild camping in northeastern Botswana. It's called a sunrise. In most places it's called a sunrise. And if you're in the city it's called, oh damn it, it's another day. It's 2024. That means 40 years that I've been exploring the world's most remote places in four-wheel drives, in association with Safari Drive, self-drive safaris in Africa. You got enough cameras on your window there?
I had 3, and I thought, well, that was a bit ridiculous, so I just settled for 2.
We have entered the Chobe National Park. Not far outside Kasane. We are camped out just outside Kasane, and we're coming in for a day visit, and we're going to visit the fabled Chobe River to see if we can see any animals. This is a very cool place. Been here several times before, never disappoints. And it is nice to have a chauffeur. Trouble is, he's going to always park it so the animals are on his side of the car. Yeah. This is a problem.
Small sacrifices. Got him.
Established in 1967, the Chobe National Park measures over 11,000 square kilometres.
Look at that. Oh. Should I let him go? Or should I just move?
Just put it in gear.
It's in gear.
They're not unhappy about cars.
No, they're so used to it though, right? I mean, they must really be okay with it.
While it's known for its large herds of buffalo and elephant, it is most famous for this riverfront, when every evening the game comes down to water itself in the blue Chobe. I've actually lost count of how many times I've been here, but my very first visit was in 1975 with my parents and brother.
And here I am, once again, in real Africa. I'm walking now, I'm not far from the banks of the Chobe River. This time of the year, the Chobe River is completely flooded out, and as I'm looking now I can see nothing but water stretching right over there to some trees. And the continuous sounds of familiar birds from the last trip past the Okavango swamp. This road we're travelling along now is most of it's unpassable by two-wheel drive vehicles. It's very flat here.
So what we're going to do now is we're just actually going to park off next to the river. We could go driving around and looking for other animals, but if we sit still, hopefully animals will come towards us. When the sun sets, it'll be over the water, so it'll be spectacular. There's just as much chance that animals will be crossing the river, coming in for their evening water here as anywhere else. But if we park here, it means that none of the other vehicles can block us and drive in front of us and stop our view. So we decided we're just going to sit and park off. It is exactly 50 years ago this month that I started my career in filming overland exploration and wild animals, and it started right here on the banks of the Chobe River.
Just a small report from our camping site at Serendella. An elephant has entered the site. He's about 75 to 100 yards away from the tent, and he's really massive. And he's slowly moving forward, hiding himself behind some bushes. Just taking some film record here. And here are some natural sounds of the campfire at sunset. I beg your pardon.
That was just the tail end of the line light. Tail end of the line light. Let's about have tea. The moon's just rising on the in the east, I think it is.
Complete full moon.
Full moon, beautiful moon. Sun's going down at the end of the river in the west. Gorgeous evening. With a baboon just around the back, I can see, of the tent. Sound effects in a minute of my opening this line lager.
I'll open it for you.
Slightly, righto.
Yeah.
Clink, clink, clink.
Slightly warm.
Clink, clink, clink. Clink, 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 clink. Bottle opener being applied to the top part.
You're not doing it properly.
Come on, hurry up, Martin. I'm getting thirsty as the time.
Talk about up close and personal. And the little guy's coming. Here's your video, the whole family. Whole family. Oh, these twins are cute.
What do you reckon about that little experience? Did we do the right thing?
I think we did. I completely doubted you, though. You just hold your focus button down, it'll stay on it. It'll stay, even if it's in a white box in video, it means it's in focus. I use the AF on button for my focus now, and it lets me hold it while I'm taking pictures in video and stills.
Well, that's kind of it for our afternoon shooting. It's 6 o'clock and we have to get back to the gate, to the park that closes in half an hour. Bye-bye. Bye-bye, till next time. Bye-bye, little one. Good morning. Good news. Found my comb. At last. This is Sinyanti. Now we're not far, 15 minutes, not even that, out of the town of Kasane, far, far top eastern part of Botswana. And this area services the Chobe National Park to the west and large farming communities to its south. This is Sinyanti. This is voted probably the best camping place in Kasane, but that's not altogether good. And that is because it's very popular. It's very popular because, well, to start with, that's the bar, little restaurant. They just serve pizzas, nothing else. And the animals come down, buffalo, elephant. Last night we had 15 total elephants come down, play in the moonlight. And it's camping fees. Normally, this kind of view, with the chance of such close encounters with animals from your lodge, is reserved for A-list customers paying thousands of dollars a day. And that's why this place is so fantastic, and it's why it's so popular. They even have a tunnel that goes under the bar, under the seating area, and ends right next to the waterhole. Today we are heading into Namibia, which means I need to prepare a few things on the Landcruiser that could give me problems when crossing the border. These are the Laser Lamps Elite 6. I bought them because they're such low profile, it doesn't affect my cooling, and they are potent. Absolutely potent lights. They're so good. But I have to now cover them up because, well, Namibia is very, very sensitive to flashy light bars. I'm not sure exactly what the rule is, but I'm just going to cover them up. If I need to use them, I can easily pull this tape off. But this will keep the border guards happy. So that'll have to wait. Well, there you go. You do what you have to do. We're now descending into the Chobe River Valley, and we're about to cross the Chobe River at the border post known as Ngoma Gate, and we are going to pass into Namibia. I have crossed this bridge 20, 30 times over the last 40 years, and never have I seen it remotely this dry. It's a bit depressing, actually. The Chobe River is a very important, part of the Zambezi river system. Look at that. That is, whoa, man. Normally, that looks like a lake, normally. Namibia is a very different country to Botswana. And when I mean different, everything about it is different. But what affects us as travellers is that Namibia, generally speaking, is fenced, with the exception of the area that we are driving through right now. Over the next few days we'll do a combination of campsites and hopefully some wild camping too. Namwe, a camping site on the banks of the Zambezi River. Nice to see water in the Zambezi River. They say that in Australia everything is out to kill you. That isn't. It 'Tis in Africa. I mean, they've got hippos here. They eat salty crocodiles for dinner and breakfast. Not really, but anyway. Quick shout out. Zippo firelighters. I really like them. Every time I stop, I take the opportunity to fiddle around and do something else to improve the way things operate out of the back of the troop carrier. I'm a long way from done, but today I'm going to do this little trick. So this is a clip for a torch, and I want to put it on the back here. So I take an ordinary clip, slide over some pieces of heat shrink and warm it up. This is why we don't do a cooking show. Turn it over.
No, we're not turning it over.
Well,
Do you think they just saw that just then?
we are doing a sauce. It's a
blackened chicken sauce.
Jeremy's been slaving away all day over it, and it's prepare a heat oil and fried chicken until no, that's not it. Well, anyway, we put it in this packet after he'd made it, after he'd been to the Woolworths store.
We're going to call this blackened chicken with sauce.
Need to talk to the camera.
Well, I have to tell you that we're going to call this blackened chicken with sauce. We're going to call this blackened chicken with sauce and pasta and Jägermeister later.
On the banks of the Zambezi River, time to do our data dump. I can't think of too many nicer places to do it. Oh, such a beautiful place. And the trip has been going really, really quite well. From this point, we're basically going to be crossing the width of Namibia. And it's going to take us from this lush greenness to the traditional burnt yellows and oranges of the deserts of Damaraland and the Namib Desert. An insane bird. It's called the Hugelin's robin. It starts with a nice tune and then it sounds like it's been chased by a hyena. Many of you will be wondering, how's the sleeping arrangement in the back of the troopy going? It was a bit of an experiment. Okay, I've owned my 5th troop carrier and I've spent a lot of nights in them. It's not working very well, to be absolutely honest. There's not enough height. There's not enough space. I'm not uncomfortable. I haven't been sleeping badly. But once the bed is made, access to stuff is almost impossible. So when you decide, I'm now going to go to bed, I have to make sure that I'm finished with all of the stuff in there. I can put my shoes under there, which is convenient, get them out of the way. But then sitting in the vehicle is no longer practical. When this is taken away, sitting in the vehicle, I hit my head. It's not comfortable. The best single part though, and there is one very good part about sleeping here, and it's this: the ability to wake up in the morning, park the car so I have the sunrise coming straight in here, to lie here and to watch that sunrise, the lovely breath of cool fresh air, is fantastic. But practically speaking, sleeping in the back here is not particularly comfortable. So I've decided that the latter part of 2024 I will be fitting a roof conversion. It will be the new version of the Alucab Hercules. And my next trip, I'm going to be a lot more comfortable. for the fish eagle to call, but instead, never mind. Here we have a symphony of sounds this morning. Okay, I'm going to do it anyway because I know you're not going to shut up. That is the Hugoland's robin. There are two of them, one in that tree and one in that tree. Fish eagle, crested barbet. A second ago there was the African jacana across the river. Babblers, either arrow-marked or white-rump babblers, they sound the same. Okay, we get it. And some distant, what sounded like an army camp, and shouting and marching in the far, far distance. There you go, there's a jacana. Time for a story. The perfect time for the story. Oh, and a monkey. It would have been 1988. Gun and I were travelling and we arrived at Katima where we are now. And here she is, trying to do a presentation to camera.
We are now at a camping site at Katima Mulilo, and in the background we have the Zambezi River. As you can see, it's very, very pretty.
Alright, so we were camped next to the Zambezi. Not exactly here, but close. It was the time of great turmoil and war, the South African Bush War. And this was a bit of a hot spot. We drove in on the road that we're going to be travelling out today. At that time, there were convoys running to protect travellers on the road through Caprivi. Late night, black night, we're in bed, in the tent, and we hear that, but not one shot or two shots, but automatic rifle fire. She sits bolt upright. I grabbed her and I pulled her back. And she said, "No, not again, darling." She didn't say that. I said, "That's not something you do when you hear automatic rifle fire. You lie as flat as possible." And to that she said, "Oh, not again, darling." Most of that is true. Driving on a brand new piece of tarmac towards Linyanti. The area we are visiting now I regard as the last frontier when it comes to Namibian tourism. I first visited the area, this is the far eastern side of the Caprivi, which is the northern part of Namibia, in 1990. All of these roads, even the main arterial roads, were gravel. We've just arrived at Linyanti, but there doesn't appear to be a place to cross. The track is supposed to wind its way in around these reeds. So we're going to have a walk and see if we can find the track. And I think Namibia sees this as an opportunity, like they have done with Etosha, a highly developed, highly commercialized area full of wild animals. And it's sometimes difficult to get straight in one's head. These small villages through which I'm now driving, many do not have running water, many do not even have electricity. People, generally speaking, are very satisfied, happy, contented. The town of Sangwali. Now, when I first visited here in 1990, things were quite different. This was far smaller, and we didn't have a good map of the area. To reach our intended destination of Lupala Island, we have no choice but to cross the river.
What do you think?
I think there's a good chance that we've come to the wrong place, but we have to find the right place.
Makes me think that maybe we should go back to the village and find the post office and go in exactly the opposite direction to the post office. No, come on.
Then I noticed a man leading his cattle through the water. This should give us a good idea of how deep and how soft it might be. But we needed to cross the river to head onto what was then called Lupala Island.
Decided to go back to the main road to see if we can find another signpost to Sangwali, which we will then take, and hopefully that will lead us to the correct tracks.
A lot of the names of places have changed over the last 2 decades, but I'm going to go and try and find that same river crossing. I'm going to have to put in the wading clutch plug. I have to seal the bell housing because the water came up to that guy's shorts, which means it's about 2.5 feet, 2 feet deep, I suppose. So it's not too bad. The cows have just crossed that area, so I have no idea what the surface is like. The development has meant that river crossings like this. No. You can drive it through. I'll film. Have been replaced with iron bridges.
When?
Right, white.
White.
Yeah.
I had to find out if it was safe enough for us to cross. No choice but to walk it. No crocodiles here.
Pardon?
No crocodiles here.
I don't know, but there are. Let's die together.
And it's meant that tourists can now access this once pristine area, but accessible.
Please don't die, either of you. Don't die, either of you. We met this chap along the road, and he was born in Sangwali. He's now the school teacher at another little town called Malingalinga, not far from here. And he's kindly offered to come and give us directions on how to get to Lupala.
And that's why we are able to even be here. This then is the exact crossing point where, with the Land Rover 110 parked here, I contemplated the drive across. And a piece of old tacky until the last bit.
What am I afraid? There. Just a try. Think of God that they will be able to cross.
In the next episode, I discover something wrong with my Landcruiser that caused me to get stuck again and again, forcing us to have to change our planned route again.